oh, well, you know, even though it's low budget and stuff, there still might be a chance for a 3. Or the infamous, the one they want where they want her facing off Chucky.
That'd be
So
cool.
that could be something. But yeah, M3GAN 2.0. Let's get into it. I'm doing the robot now. Okay. Anyway, so what do you think?
I actually quite enjoyed it. I've never watched the first one, but I actually enjoyed it. It's not what I expected, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, especially because the first one, I know that's the deal, but it's one of those things where, from the trailers for the first one, it looked just like your typical. It looked a little too goofy at times from that trailer, but I don't know. I guess still give it a shot at some point because it is just a horror movie, and this explains everything. So you got the gist of it walking into this one. So this was never seeing that, and it's Terminator 2 all over again. Like I was telling you, I saw Terminator 2 as a kid before I saw Terminator 1, and this kind of feels the same way because like I didn't really have that much of an interest in M3GAN. Because I'm like, Chucky, you know, I'm all Chucky for those type of things. And I'm like, oh, well, whatever. I thought they were trying to, you know, push too much of certain, the dance thing that everyone, you know, did. Where I hate that. It was that, and then like how they did with Wednesday, where she did her little dancing, and everyone, it becomes this TikTok-y stuff. I'm like, I want a movie, not TikTok-y stuff. But I don't know. But I guess I could have been misguided or something. But, so like Terminator 2, I'm like, oh, I saw the trailer for this when they first showed it. I was like, oh, this is different. And then the rumors about what it was going to be like, I'm like, oh, so it's like Terminator 2. They're going to do a Terminator 2 for this. And it sounds different and more out there. So I was like, I have an interest now. So just like that, it got me interested, and I enjoyed it as well. I didn't see a problem with it. It makes me want to watch the first one and maybe see a third one. We didn't get the popcorn bucket. We don't know if they had the popcorn bucket with her head. Or the Jaws head. But they're like $40 right now. And I'm like, what? The Smurf one was like 30 or 35 supposedly. But who knows what that'll be like. So I feel kind of bad with but in spirit, something's here. Even if I could have just brought Crypto along again, I guess. But anyway, continue. It was good. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. I knew the first one was a horror movie, so I was expecting it had to be something like horror, but this was not even close. Or
But it still had horror elements in it. That's what I thought was interesting. The first one's like horror, sci-fi. This one still had some horrific, like horror scenes at heart.
Right.
But then it was still the horror sci-fi, but they threw a little bit of the comedy and action. So the problem was with everyone else, how it's changed. Like, it's basically in the same vein of it. It's just less of the horror type stuff there.
I definitely saw the action. Sometimes it felt a little spy-ish too.
Yeah, it was.
Which is pretty cool. I thought the special effects in this were pretty good. And the choreography.
Yeah, I liked all that. I liked the choreography. I liked the fighting. I like, again, you know, going into these characters, you know, you have M3GAN, then you have Gemma, then you have Katie for the little girl, and then you had the new one, which was Amelia, which at times I kept on thinking, I know it wasn't, but there were many times where I was thinking, you know, her face looks very similar to Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, but I know it's not her, but her face has that visual to it. And all the other, their friends, even the big guy that had the chip in the Xavier cart was an interesting character. Everyone seemed like interesting characters. The CIA, FBI guy, I got the bigger gun, you know, he was, you know, goofy, but it, you know, it worked and everything. I thought I thought it had a good balance of, like, it wasn't too in your face, herp-a-derp MCU humor. So it worked. I thought it balanced itself out, like how we were talking with Superman. It's balanced enough, and I don't know if, you know, if she had wanted to go, you know, clits to the pits, then, you know, that's what the movie was gonna be like.
Yeah.
Well, you know, because, you know, vaginas. You can't say balls to the wall, so I figured clits to the shits? No. But they decided to go that and do something different, and I was okay with it. Thought the characters were good. I thought they did some growth. I liked the idea of the warning of AI, but I liked the idea of her talking about how she does, like, why would you give your kids cocaine? You want to give them cocaine, so I give them a smartphone. Which I think is 100% true, because a lot of that stuff is hurting people. Like, people are just glued to that TikTok and everything. And you've seen it in studies and showing, and so that they're less getting, so it's good to see that it's more of the horrors of that and what to do with it type of stuff there and everything. So I thought that was a nice story bit of it.
I like how the aspect of, like you said, AI, the threats of it and all that stuff, because I feel like what makes the movie good is that it feels grounded, despite it being, kind of still supernatural in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that all the characters were pretty well fleshed out, the new characters and all that stuff. As I said, I really enjoyed the action scenes, so it felt like it was kind of like Mission Impossible in a sense, with some of the stuff they were doing.
But with a little doll girl.
What? She's taller now.
Well, yeah, I like the little anime chibi robot.
That was actually pretty cute.
I'm like, can we get something like that? That was cute and adorable, and the expressions, it was fitting. I like the idea of the chip thing in the head. I like she's with her upgrade and everything, so she looks M3GAN looks really good, and the one girl looks really like when she really good. She's in the dress.
Yeah.
Seducing the guy. It's like, wow, and then she's sitting there fighting her little suit there, and she's in her little K-pop robot thing for M3GAN, and all that stuff there, the suits, everything. And then at first, too, when they're showing her just M3GAN's head and the robotic body, everything made me think, all these suits, the colors, fighting, robot girl, human cyborg type things. Is this, did we finally get Alita 2? In a way? Yeah. Can we get Alita 2 still? But, come on, let's get Alita 2, come on. But it was, that'll be cool. But I thought it was really well done. I like all the colors and the lights and the dancing and the battling and stuff like that. I thought it worked. I thought it worked with the vibe the film was going with and the feel the movie was going with. So you still had all those elements of it. And like, even though we don't know anything about it, you get enough from this, because you already know like how it went. The trailers kind of showed like a lot of it for the first M3GAN, so you know what happened. These characters talking, so you're going to see a lot to know about them. So you know enough about them. What's going to go there. Then you're going to see them grow, like the Katie growing and what they said with their little speech before she sings. Shut up. That was fun. And, they all kind of like did their little growing, everyone. And that was enough there for not knowing much going into this. I'm like, okay, I saw enough of an arc, some developments, so that through the characters enough to know that, like, okay, so they can still go somewhere with this. And I still feel like they can go somewhere with this. Like they said, like M3GAN said at the end, it's like, this is where my story ends, but it can be fixed. I'm like, if that's what it takes, they took a chance this way, they can still fix it and still do a third.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't get rid of all that happened in this one to make the third, like, say it never happened or do some crap. You can still go on a different path, still go on the path they look like they're going with, and maybe just throw in more of the horror, I guess, in there or something. Make her more, I don't know. I guess it was weird that people always, nowadays, side with killers, which I find very interesting. A lot of people are like, boy, these killers, they're an icon. They're just like me. It's like they're killers. I just feel kind of, and I get, like, she was doing it because she's programmed the way she was only doing things to protect and getting emotional. So, again, that works. So you can still do that kind of stuff, but making her going this round, so just being a full-blown killer, I think works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. M3GAN looked cool. I liked her upgraded look and the move-in, and I liked all the little suits and the little mission-y stuff there. I liked the little side friends, Cole, and especially him. He was good. He was a nice asset. I think everything kind of just worked out very well for this. I like when they take chances and go other places. And it's a risk. Not everyone's going to enjoy it. I'm among the ones that enjoyed it. It looks like he was too. So if you can't go one way or go back, I'd say if you're worried about going back to please the people before, you're going to alienate the ones that like it now. So I think, if anything, kind of meet in the middle. I think probably their best bet for a 3.0. But, or just again, your low-budget horror movies, doing stuff like that, do whatever. So if you got plans for a third, you got the money for it, do it. Do whatever, you think you want to do to continue the story, whatever. I think it'll probably still work.
I agree. I trust them with the series, even though I still haven't seen the first one. I thought they did a good job, and because they switched, I mean, they still kind of stayed a little bit of horror, they switched the genre, they could do it again if they had to.
There you go.
Apparently
Why
they
not
can
have
go
M3GAN in space?
There you go.
I know it's usually reserved for Leprechaun 4 or Jason X, but, you know, people were complaining that this wasn't the revenge thing, but that's not always the case. The sequels could always end up going a different route, and that's usually the case where I like stuff, and I know a lot of people where I feel like this ended up being that cult classic status. The first one was that one that just blew up, and then this is a good way to filter out the normies and the people who are like the real fans of stuff, because, you know, you'll get people that'll do it. If this were back in the day, this would find life on VHS and then probably get that culty status at some point because of its differentness of it, and then the direction would just keep doing whatever until it gets rebooted at some point or in 3D.
I personally feel like this movie was like a passion project. By that I mean it seemed like the people who made it actually really cared, because it was really well done. And I feel like if they keep that up, no matter what they make, it'll still be good, at least to the people who actually are true fans. Even though I'm just a new fan, I feel like I definitely want to see the first, and I'd like to see more. I hope they do take another risk and make another one, because
horror is the best thing you can do when it comes to risk-taking. A horror movie. I mean, like you said, you can still keep it in. I mean, it's still the same. I don't see where else they could have done. Like, I think it would have been too cliche for it to have been a revenge story. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's too cliche. They thought outside of the box and tried something different and went with it. I appreciate that more than just it being the same thing and her out for revenge or something. I mean, I like that they went that route, and that's what got me invested, because I like my stuff that goes different and goes quirky and goes a little bit of not the same as the first one is. I like them when they can go that way, but I think if this is a series where it works, we can do that. This isn't like saying I can take Michael Myers and decide to go into a weird territory with it and be like, no, Michael Myers is just straightforward what you have to do. You know, Jaws, it seems like it should be straightforward, but then they went weird towards the end of that. But this is one where I think they can work with that stuff.
Yeah, I think they can go in whatever direction they want. And that's what's good about horror, like you said. It really can be mixed with different genres. I thought this was a good
the best
mix.
genre, because you can have horror anything. It works.
And I think it keeps your attention the whole movie throughout. I didn't think there was any lull movements in the...
Oh, yeah, surprisingly. I like the little AI house thing there. I like the beginning when it was all connected and they're fighting against, you know, the people coming in. I thought that was pretty good.
That was actually pretty
It was clever, you know, the drawer hitting and then the eye slipping and then doing all this stuff to cause this. I'm like, that was pretty cool. It's like Smart House decided to come and defend her family. But, yeah.
I like the villain in this movie, in all its aspects of it. I thought the way they executed was actually in a good way where you can like it, and I thought the way the people portrayed the characters did a good job. I felt it was actually very believable, to be honest with you. And I think if they can keep that up, if they do make a sequel, it would be, you know, I mean, actually, this would be it would be a third. Yeah. If they make any more, then I think it would do well.
What is it, M3GAN? So it'll be M3GAN 3.0. They can have the M3GAN logo, but then the 3.0 can be right in there, like they do with the stupid screen stuff. That can be in the title now. I don't know, but yeah, enjoyable.
And
who doesn't like seeing a bunch of chicks just fighting it out?
True.
And stuff. So keep doing more stuff like that. Go more R-rated territory of stuff, though. Don't be afraid.
I haven't seen the new Mission Impossible movie, but I feel like this is kind of the same theme in a sense.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, then when she was the car, don't forget, they played the Knight Rider music, because she was like, "Hello there," you know. She's like the Knight Rider. So that was a nice little touch. I enjoy that. Knight Rider's awesome.
Well, yeah, that's the original AI, as far as I'm concerned.
Like I was saying, like one of my things with this is people were complaining about M3GAN going in the sequel. There's always a sequel, baby. The 2 is always supposed to be the revenge, and I was trying to say, well, just because Freddy 2 is called Freddy's Revenge doesn't necessarily always mean that. Freddy's 2 was a revenge. I was sitting there telling you this. Freddy's 2, Jaws 4 is Jaws the Revenge. So they took them 4 films for a revenge film, even though they're all different sharks in the movies. But they're like, no, the second one's the revenge. It's like, well, Halloween 2 took place on the same night. It wasn't until Halloween 5 that it was Michael Myers' revenge, the revenge of Michael Myers. So it's not always the 2 being revenge. You were sitting there talking to, like, Scream, but they're all different people in a sense, so I don't know if that kind of works. Jason, technically, I guess, was revenge for his mom, but you can also throw in that, again, technically, part 2 is the first time we get Jason as a killer. So it'll be 3 as the revenge. And, you know what I'm saying? The one law is 3 is always 3D. So if they do 3.0, Megan needs to go 3D. But I was just saying, it's not always revenge because there's a lot of seconds that follow in Megan's footsteps. Or, well, Megan's following in their footsteps. Again, they went the Terminator 2 route, which I had no problem with. Terminator 2 is better than the first one. So, but when it comes to the horror movies, like, but it's supposed to be the revenge. And it's like, no. Again, Gremlins was a horror. It's a horror movie. It's a family movie, but it's horror. It's a horror Christmas film. What did they do with Gremlins 2? They went nuts.
Yeah, they did.
And Gremlins 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
Both films are a 10 out of 10 for me. So, but, you know, Gremlins 2 went nuts. The obvious one that I think, you know, where they just decided to go that route and go, oh, okay. Besides, you know, Evil Dead 2 decided to go wacky, and everyone loves Evil Dead 2. You know what I'm saying? They decided, you know, was straight up horror for the first one. The second one, let's go wacky. And then they kept that wackiness ever since with the horror. Then, of course, Texas Chainsaw. Texas Chainsaw 1 is a 10. It's it's like a perfect horror movie with just, it gives you that grittiness, that rawness, and that realness of it, where it's that years ago, these people they were never, you know, they tried to make this to that real story thing, but it works so well. It feels like this is legit, and you're freaking out with these people and this disturbing family. But then on the second one, they went crazy. Yeah, I mean, and I love the second one. So it's totally different, but then again, horror has always done that. You go a different route. The 2 doesn't always mean you have to do the revenge. Chucky, I think, like you were saying, in comparison, Chucky is always, like, every movie is about the revenge. I think he's the only one, like you said, that's the only thing I've ever seen where he's always seeking out, for the most part, Andy.
Yeah.
He has one person that he is seeking out constantly. And they did a good job of that throughout, even with when they brought him back and a little bit in the TV show. It's still this. Like, eventually Michael gives up on Laurie. He still goes for the family. But then, you know, it's still, he sticks with the family. It's not always just Laurie, because it's like, when she's gone, I gotta go after the next in the bloodline for some reason. So, and then Leatherface and them weren't always going after anybody. They just go after anybody that just happens to stumble upon them.
Yeah.
I know you're going like, you know, shut up, but it's like, I think this works. Some work and some don't. Obviously, you know, it was divided with everyone, you know, it didn't work with, I think, Texas Chainsaw, because that's where it just kept getting like this, and they had to constantly, like, with Texas Chainsaw. But it worked, obviously, for Evil Dead, going that route. So certain ones it works and certain ones it doesn't. So, I don't know. I feel like this fits with it well, so it should work, and I hope they keep going with that.
I totally agree with what you said. And if they could keep going this route, I'm pretty sure it will do well, even if it's just more on the cult than the mainstream. So I hope they still make these movies, because I'm actually a fan of it because of what they did.
And I like that Jason Blumhouse there, Mr. Blumhouse himself, came out and said, everyone else, when the movies fail, Disney and everybody nowadays, the in thing right now is to blame the audience. Well, this failed. The reason why a lot of those movies fail is because of the script, their agendas, they're pushing stuff. They're not creating stuff to create anymore. They're just trying to shove stuff in your face, and they don't care about making films anymore. It's all about other things other than just making a good film. And then when obviously they fail because they're not making it for, it's plain and simple. I don't know why they can't make movies. There's a lot of things where it's like, just do this and you're going to make money. I don't know why they can't do that. And then when they fail, well, that's because you're an ist, you're a phobe, you're this, it's your fault, you're losers, you're this. They attack everybody. They owned up on this one. He came out and said, We tried something that didn't work. It's our fault. I was like,
Yeah.
they didn't sit there and go, well, you're a loser, piece of crap for not one. I hope you die. Because this movie failed. It's like, no. They owned up to it.
Mm-hmm.
More people need to do that.
Very true, because there's a lot of blaming through the whole industry, and it's tiring, and you just want to get away from it all. And then I feel like this is a nice escape, even though I said it feels a little base.
And all in all, I enjoyed it. M3GAN 2.0 was good. Interested in more of it now. Hoping there's a 3 in 3D in space.
It actually makes me want to get some merchandise of it. So show your support. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out.
It was just fun. It was like a lot of people say, like, you get tired of stuff where people say there are certain ones again and that do and do not work. But people are like, oh, just shut your brain off and go to this movie. This one is one of those ones where it's like, yeah, shut your brain off and you're just gonna have fun. But it's meant to be like that because these movies are like that. This isn't. I feel like, oh, it's Jurassic World. It's another Jurassic Park movie. Just shut your brain off and enjoy. It's like, yeah, but the first one wasn't like that, and I don't like that it went where it became after the first two. It kind of went to just shut your brain off and just dinosaurs for 2 hours. This works where it's like shut your brain off because it's going to be just goofy, fun, silly, stupid stuff mixed together, and it's going to be just that way, and it works. So, yeah, just go in for something expecting just a good time and enjoyable, and just something to enjoy. That's a good point of what movies are about, to escape and enjoy things.
Yes. So if you like the video or like the movie, don't forget to hit it. Smash
Reagan
that
will come
like
for you. I don't know. She might be on our side, right? Right? Wait, which one do we have in here? Is this Megan or is this actually Fina? That'd be cool. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of the movie and what you think that could happen next.
Until next time.
See us. I don't... Wait. Technology, I don't know how to... You got the whole team here, including Iron Man. Yep, the whole team. Now the team's fully together.